We just putting my presentation on the laptop. Before I start, first of all, thank the organisers for the invitation to be part of today. It's a great honour to be part of the National Disability Insurance Scheme and the journey we're all on. Before starting this presentation, I always am very mindful, and I guess it goes back to my times with Telstra when I did a lot of work with people with vision impairments, and that's about allowing me to just describe where I am, what I'm going to look like, and the room for those people who are not seeing what's going on right now. I'm up on a stage, I'm sitting here in my electric wheelchair. I've got Jake on my left-hand side who's setting up my PowerPoint presentation. To my left, there is a table with 4 other speakers, and I'm looking out at a lovely sky, big glass door, windows at the back. So just once again, I think it's all about we all be inclusive in these presentations. So there's just my very visual dump on what we are doing at the moment, and I will be describing about 6 or 7 slides that I have. Not a lot of words around pictures, but I'm happy to describe those. How are we going, Jake? Keep adding there a bit. Okay, I'll keep doing that. Who do you barrack for, Jake?
Yes, indeed.
You're a good man. Okay, love doing that. Yeah. So we're just still putting USB stick in, but I think I must first of all also acknowledge Leah and Bruce. I've heard them speak before, and they know their stuff, don't they, guys? They really do know it, and I think it's... You can't hear it too often. I think every time I first listened to Bruce and Leah, you do come away with a little bit of, oh yeah, you're right. And it's all about reinforcing what we know. But overall, isn't it good that the sector, we're talking the same language? All right? The blind aren't yelling with the guys in the wheelchairs, and the deaf aren't getting too upset. We're all saying, yes, make this happen. So as a grumpy-year-old, 50-year-old disabled person, I'm really happy that, hooray, we're all at the same party, we're on the same page, talking about what's needed. Also want to very quickly talk about one of the highlights of... Oh, hello. Hear that? Money! It's a Pink Floyd song. You like that? Money. That's why we're... Now, while we're talking money, let me share an exciting part of today, this week. I was on an access panel with the Department of Human Services Victoria, handed out $500,000 to a few individuals waiting for an individual support package. How good's that? All right? DHS, Southern Region. But isn't it nice to have a good news story? Okay, it's heart-wrenching going through the profiles of these people where you have single parents that have multiple children with disabilities and no supports. So as a person on that access panel, you go home saying, wow, we've helped 15 people, but what about the other 30? But anyway, I just want to share. It was a great feeling. So I will start my presentation now, and I'm going to press the right button. I love that, because this is all about money. That money, that noise is about every time I change a slide. That's where you're going to hear that ka-ching. My first slide is basically just talking about about the work I'm doing as a disability commentator with my blog. Been doing it about nearly 9 months. Loving it. I've got over 500 subscribers, and thank you to all those. It's one of those things where I've been very lucky to have a very diverse career opportunity where I do different things, ranging from working at Port Phillip Prison with prisoners with intellectual disability, and now a lot of work in the funding area, working with Valid. So I guess come home every night with a story to tell. So I do a weekly bulletin. It comes out on Tuesday afternoon, and hopefully you'll have a chance to look at that one day. So that's I've got a picture, basically, my first slide's a picture of my blog. And for those people interested, it's just a matter of putting your name and email address in, and it all happens from there on a Tuesday afternoon. Now we're talking about... Just hang on a sec, what's going on here? I just love the noise. Okay.
500,000 just there.
Okay, I'm now looking at a cartoon. We mentioned earlier that I've got, not my own cartoonist, but a really good mate of mine, Simon Kneebone, his name. He's based in Adelaide. And he and I work very closely when I do my blogs, that I'm able to pick up the phone, describe a picture, and he's able to illustrate it. So this is about, and Bruce made mention when the states were all getting together and saying, do we want an NDIS? Yes, we do. well, come on, guys, let's all make it happen. So we've got a picture of Julia Gillard in the back saying, come on, focus, it's important. And then we've got Bill Shorten saying, now, we just need to make this happen. And they're all looking at a whiteboard. Disability is increasing. The present system is broken. NDIS is going to save money in the long run. So that's the picture of the cartoon. I need, of course, to mention VALID, Victorian Advocacy League for Individuals with Disability. I work with them 3 days a week as an advocate. The project I work on is all about individual support packages. And I guess this is why I'm able to be here today, and it's not just talk about my story or my needs, it's about what I'm hearing from individuals, from parents, with the stories around how life is tough in relation to funding, in relation to the waiting list. So I guess my work in conjunction with a colleague of mine, Darian McLean, who also works at Valid, we run a series of workshops and we talk to people about individual support packages and empowerment, what you can buy, how you communicate with service providers. It's about us becoming consumers. So this slide's basically showing the Valid website. Next picture's about, we've got a picture of a truck, and on the truck it's got Valid ISP Roadshow, individual support packages, learn more about self-directed funding. So that's what Darian and myself do around Victoria, thanks to funding from the Department of Human Services Victoria. Allows us to do these workshops. And like I said, it's not just going through the guidelines of what an ISP is, but it is hearing those stories, the hard stories, and also sharing how people are negotiating and making things happen. I guess one of my favourite stories is with my own package. I thought, now I've got a lovely Kelpie collie that sits out the back. I don't really need a full-blown assist dog, but I do drop my remote control. I do drop the mobile phone. So I spent $250 on organising a dog trainer to spend 3 hours to teach my dog to pick up things for me, versus pick up the phone and wait for the carer to come to my home. The department love that. It's about being creative with the money you're using. And there are many stories like that where people are using iPads and appropriate apps in relation to autism and Asperger's around communication. So let me push really hard about how many great ways there are to spend money so that goals can be achieved in your plan. And I'm pretty confident that the NDIS is still going to work with plans and goals for people to have a better life. That's what we want, isn't it? A better life. The next slide is basically talking about the presentations that Darian and I run. It's actually just a picture of a couple of people, and the headline is, it's all about me and my ISP, managing your individual support package. This presentation that we do is basically come out of the guidelines from Department of Human Services, and we go through it. It goes for about 4 hours. We go through step by step on what the ISP is and how it can be used. We also have a plain English version of this presentation for people in day services. People in day services, yes, they have an ISP, but as you can appreciate, those people are in an environment where their funding is possibly propping up other people. Unfortunately, there's a word about that says they've got a Clayton's ISP. They don't have the same amount of freedom, the same size package as someone such as myself who's accessing the community. Can I have a glass of water, please? I'm starting to... Thanks, Jan. Let me...
On the left.
A bit closer, please. Sorry. In my hand, if you don't mind.
Right, sure.
Thank you. Aren't you a good carer?
I'm,
You're sacked.
I could,
No, you're not.
I need retraining under the NDIS.
And again, please.
And again.
You're very good.
That's right. Yeah.
Love your wheelchair. Get electric one, you'll be quicker.
Would you like a refill?
No, thank you. Yeah, so once again, it is important that when we talk about our ISP presentations, that we are talking at all levels, people with intellectual disabilities, and using that plain English approach. We have another cartoon where I'm talking about how I also do these presentations online using the internet. People can't always arrive at a hall or a venue to learn about ISPs. So this is a cartoon, basically 3 scenarios where I'm able to stay at home in my tracksuit pants and they can stay in their pyjamas and we can do these presentations at 8 o'clock at night. And what's really good about these presentations at 8 o'clock at night is it allows siblings, sons and daughters, to be part of the presentation over the internet. And I had a great story one day when I was doing this, and the family were living in Witchy-proof, and I was talking about what you can do with your ISP, and the big brother was sitting there, and he has a sister who has Down syndrome, and he was there on the phone saying, you know what, I'm doing accounting. I'd never been able to sort of help my sister, wanted to, but you know, now I feel like I can, because I know I've got a bit of control about helping the funding work for my sister. So that little story like that was really powerful, I thought, which talks about the family getting together and making this all happen so that people have a better life with the funding. Talking about empowerment, one of the objectives of the work that I'm doing with Valid is creating a consumer base so that people can get together and talk regularly about how do we self-direct our own funding. There's approximately 9 peer support to buy support groups being set up around Victoria. Now these groups, I say, it's a bit like formalising what we've been doing for years in the car park when you meet someone. You've heard those stories? Where did you find out that? I heard a mother talking about it in the car park. Department of Human Services are very mindful of saying, you know, nobody's got all the answers. It is about us as consumers to share information. Where do you get your hair done? Tell us which is your favourite Chinese restaurant. No different when we start buying support services. Can you buy it from a non-registered organisation? What are they like? How much are you paying per hour? So these peer support to buy support groups, there are 9 of them. We have 3 running at the moment. Melbourne CBD. James O'Brien, you were at the one a couple of weeks ago, which is quite good. And it's a forum where we get together. It uses what's called a meetup, and this is all on my blog. Meetup is a website, and these groups run by having your profile on these websites. So we're not talking Facebook, but it is an online environment where people have their profile, and you simply put who you are, your situation, and every time there's a meeting, you'll receive an email, and it'll tell you where the meeting's going to be at. So in the perfect world, these groups will not be run by Valid at all. Actually, all Valid's doing at the moment is funding the hosting these sites. These groups are going to run by themselves. It's going to be about one person to sort of say, what do we want to talk about today? Do we want to talk about direct employment? I'll talk about that in a minute. But they are becoming really popular. Ballarat, Geelong, Bendigo, Traralgon, 9 groups. Watch your space as they evolve. This is a picture of our Christmas breakup for the Melbourne CBD, Peer Support to Buy Support, which was hosted at a Telstra building. So basically we've got about 35, 40 people there. It was a good gig. We had a representative from Consumer Affairs, because they need to be mindful of people that have funding are going to start purchasing from non-registered organisations. So it's about them understanding and we understanding how they can help us. And we will, of course, know that we've got the Disability Complaints Commissioner who will help us in relation to a registered organisation. But the world's a big place and we're going to buy and use our funding in different ways. I've now got to talk about the peer support group, which I've touched on. I'll just go very quickly, mention the areas: Melbourne CBD, Melbourne Southern, Bendigo, Ballarat, Geelong, Traralgon, Wangaratta. Also setting up a CALD group, culturally and linguistically diverse Vietnamese group. I've done a few presentations where different ethnic groups will get together wanting to know what's going on around funding. Thought I'd throw another picture around the NDIS where we've got Julia again, who's juggling some balls. She's juggling carbon tax line. providing, what's that word?
Live exports.
Thank you, didn't say it, left the glasses and jobs. And she's saying to, hey Bill, of course this one makes sense, catch it. It's about the National Disability Insurance Scheme. Let's make it happen. That's an applause. I'd like to thank you very much for your time. I just want to end with a little YouTube clip. Who's heard of Vic and Linda, the Ball sisters? Yes. Okay, they got together with me about a couple of years ago and at a gig. And a bit of a jingle we put together in relation to the disability commentary I do with my blog. So hopefully, do I just press... Oh, will make that work?
Disability and music go hand in hand. So come on and subscribe so you understand. Disability and music go hand in hand. So come on and subscribe so you understand. Hi, I'm Vika. I'm Linda. This is John. This is the man. Please subscribe to John Mckenna's blog.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.